Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulih al-Kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't ever kiss me again. Really, that's one thing I dislike actually very much, is when a man kisses me. And he did it publicly, so now I have to talk about it a little bit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is there any more distractions like that, or are we good? We're good? Okay, no more inappropriate kissing. Thank you very much for your cooperation in that matter. Don't ever do it again. Anyway, glad to be here at what I consider my home masjid. There's two masjids in this city that I consider my home. One of them is here, and the other one is Talim al-Islam. And I got to be here twice this Ramadan. Usually it's once, and I'm very grateful for that. Jazakumullah khair, by the way, for the brothers and the sisters who are involved in really making this possible. It's definitely a team effort, all the way from Muhammad Qadi all the way throughout the entire organization of Masjid Farooq. So we much appreciate you guys for that. And we want to really, may Allah bless your efforts and keep you steadfast and strong and give you thabat fi deen, fi dunya wal akhirah. It is so crucial, these programs every single year that they put on here, and I'm grateful to be a part of those. So may Allah bless the brothers and the sisters who are involved in that. This lecture came about, as most of my lectures do, from a personal experience. My youngest daughter, this lecture is obviously about being a dad, as Father's Day is next Sunday, apparently, according to this society here. And alhamdulillah, they tend to give people who are neglected a day. That's kind of what happens now. So mothers have one day, fathers have a day, disabled people have a day, and that tends to be the way of it. And then once the day is over, they tend to be forgotten again. One of the beauties and one of the highest points of my career, if you want to say it that way, happened from one of my kids. My youngest, who is Nusayba, she was being asked in her school, they're all being asked who their favorite celebrity is. And everybody said, the different ball players and wrestlers and rappers and whoever else. And then they get to Nusayba, and Nusayba, they ask her, who is your favorite celebrity? And he said, my dad. And then the teacher said, well, is your dad, do the other kids know who your dad is? And she goes, no, but I know who he is, and that makes him famous. So she got to tell her class what I do, which, when you're 10 or not, well, she was about 8 or 7 at the time, it's monumental. All I know is I travel through airports and give lectures to people. But to a kid, that's a tremendously huge, barakah and blessing to have. And then, of course, they asked the next kid who his favorite celebrity is, and he said Nusayba's dad. So, alhamdulillah. So that's kind of where this lecture came about. And I thought, okay, how is it that happened? If it's going to still continue to happen, how can I help it more? And of course, I turned to one of the fathers that's mentioned in the Quran, which is Luqman and Hakeem. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the story of Luqman, Allah says that we gave Luqman and Hakeem wisdom. We gave him wisdom. Anishkur lillah. And he thanked Allah. Many of us think that being a parent is you're like a police officer, right? You're giving kids rules. Well, not necessarily like a police officer even. You're giving kids rules that they have to obey and you don't, right? So we have a common practice where the parents don't really practice that much. They don't pray, stay up shuqat the whole night, send the kids to the masjid, and then the masjid is supposed to magically make your kid practice, even though you don't. Luqman was very clear when he said, فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِلَّهِ. The one who is grateful to Allah is grateful to Allah for his own self, لِنَفْسِهِ. وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And the one who doesn't do that, the one who is disbelieving or who rejects faith with Allah is free from all wants from us. And you know that. The worship of Allah makes you stronger. Doesn't make him stronger. Allah is al-Malik al-Mulk. But if you're going to teach your kids stuff like that, then you should also be doing it. Don't get mad if your son doesn't pray if you don't pray. Don't get mad if your son doesn't learn the Quran if you're not learning the Quran. Don't get upset if your daughter doesn't wear hijab if she doesn't know why she's supposed to. She doesn't wear it just to make you happy so that you're not shamed in front of the community that your daughter doesn't cover herself. She wears it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to do so. So it's very, very important that we actually have this certain role model or this certain practice for our kids. Because they will do what you do, not necessarily what you say. You know, they used to have a commercial when I was a kid. And some of y'all might have seen it if you grew up here. They have this, they don't have them anymore. And there's probably a reason for that. But they had this little kid, and he was trying out smoking. Right? He was a teenager. Like he's sneaking into, smoke a cigarette, right? That he stole from his dad or whatever. And he smoked the cigarette, and the dad came in and was upset with him. Why are you smoking? Don't you know it's bad? Where did you learn this from? He said, I learned it from you, Dad. And the whole message to the commercial was, parents who smoke have children who smoke. Now this may be right or wrong, but the whole point is that they learn from us. You are the one who is supposed to be teaching them first. So really, you can't plant mangoes and expect pineapples to grow. And I always say things like that because it's very true. When your kids, and they're not going to be perfect, and that doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfect because we're not perfect. But at least when you're trying your best, Luqman had this practice first, and he was practicing first. So that's what the whole point of the beginning of that story was Luqman when he was advising his son. Right? وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِإِبْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. When he was advising him. Brothers, really, it's so very important in a society that is dumbing down fatherhood daily that we advise our children. In this case, it's Luqman and his son, but it's also for our daughters too. Don't ever be afraid to advise your children as fathers. I know that there's a certain movement that is going on, and it's going to be controversial for me to say it. This movement that is telling our sisters, you don't really need a man. And it's growing. It started growing in the 60s and the 70s, and it's really growing now, where they're teaching our sisters that you don't need a man. A man is an unnecessary redundance to some of these groups of people that say that. When in actuality, the woman, yes, the woman gave birth to the child, and she's the mother, and mothers are amazing. They're incredible, and Allah has given them status. There's no doubt about that. The first 3 is your mother, and then the 4th is your father. You know the hadith, right? But at the same time, sisters, you can be a lot of things. You can be the best mom on the face of the earth. You can take care of your kids better than anybody else. But there's one thing you're not going to be. That's dad. You will be an amazing mom. Absolutely. Absolutely right. MashaAllah. And this is not to take away from anything that you do at all as a mother. It isn't. But at the same time, this idea of fatherhood is something that we are losing, and we shouldn't be losing it. Because you see that when kids are raised up by both parents, even if those parents are divorced, by the way, even if those parents are divorced, you see a certain balance in kids that have both parents in their life. You see a certain balance. I don't know if your brothers notice that or not. Boys who have their dads in their life tend to be much more focused on things. So brothers, don't let the society teach you that you don't have a role. And try your best to be a part of that. And I know it's not always easy because, certain issues happen and certain court proceedings happen. May Allah make your situation easy. This is a general speech, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. If you're not allowed to be a part of your kid's life, that's very different than choosing not to be a part of it. That's the ones that I'm talking to are the ones that are choosing not to be a part of it. And may Allah reunite you with your children as soon as possible. For those who wish to be a part but can't. It's very different. Can't and won't are very different. So what did Luqman advise his son? Ya bunayya. First of all, how did he address him? I talked about this last time when Ibrahim a.s. addressed his father, Ya abati, Ya bunayya. Bunayya, and the brothers here who are fluent in Arabic can correct me if I'm wrong. It's a bit more than saying Ya ibni, Ya ibni, Ya waladi. It's a bit more than that. It's a close relationship. Bunayya, my son, oh my beloved son, the son who I love. That's important. I have this, and I've done family counseling and I don't anymore. Because I used to argue with the parents, and when you argue with the people who pay you, you tend to not get hired again. Muslim parents don't like it when they are the problem, right? It's always the kid's problem, or it's the society's problem, or the culture's problem, or the white kid's problem, or the Jamaican kid's problem. It's someone else's problem and not them. And when you tell them it's them, they don't pay you anymore. And it's very hard to run a business like that. So I don't do family counseling anymore. But one of the common things, I used to hear the parents addressing the kids with these horrid names. Aya kalb. How many of you heard this? You're calling your kid that. Or what did I learned I learned the Arabic swear words from Arabic parents. Did you know that? Interesting. Swahili too. I learned the Swahili swear words from the Swahili parents. Dog. Sheep. Son of a dog, which is very funny, actually. When they say, what do they say? One man told me to his son, he goes, like, bro, you're his dad. That's really, like, you're cursing yourself when you do that. And don't be surprised when they turn out like that. Don't be surprised when they turn out like that. If you cuss him like that, there was one brother who used to constantly accuse his son of all these different stuff. Bad stuff, evil stuff. And the son was talking to me, he said, Wallahi, I never did anything that he said I did. He's accusing him, until finally the son went and said, you know what, since I'm being accused of it, since I'm getting the credit for it, let me cash in the credit. And he went and did it all. Be very careful how you address your kids. Because they're people too. They're human beings. When you cuss them, and to be honest, this is what you think, because Irish, and we're no different, because I grew up in an Irish house, and they cuss at you on a daily basis. It's normal. To the point where you cuss in school thinking it's okay, because you've been cussed at home since you were born. They threaten your life. I was threatened. My life was threatened on a daily basis in my grandmother's house. She never did anything about it, obviously. But it teaches you that that's normal to talk like that. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to end your life. It's funny to hear now, because I'm 42 and I'm not 8 no more. But when the one who says they love you threatened to kill you, it messes with your head just a little. Or when the one who gave birth to you and claims that they love you more than anyone else is calling you a dog and a sheep and an animal and a whatever, other horrible names than that, it's got to mess with your psyche, because who knows you better than your dad and your mom? So if your dad and your mom are calling you all these horrible names, then it must be true, right? Right? No. But that's what you think as a kid. So take care of how you address them. And then when they cuss at you, who did they learn it from? Oh, my kids swear at me. Who did they learn it from? The TV? Okay, well, then it's your TV and it's your house. Be very careful as to how you address your children. Ya bunayya, Luqman Hakeem said that. Oh, my beloved son. Because these are the people, brothers and sisters, who will take care of you. If you should die, your children are the ones who hopefully will know how to bury you. Will hopefully take care of you when you're old, inshallah. And they won't just throw you in a home somewhere. But who is the one who's going to teach them? You know, they have a saying that is like, it's really interesting. They say, the type of child that you are is the type of child that you will get. But also the type of parent that you are is the type of child that you will get as well. Generally. We have exceptions to that. Of course, Nuh alayhi salam, his son was bad, and we have exceptions to that. But in general, this is the case. If you're cussing at them, you're telling them off, you're not proud of them, you don't tell them I'm proud of you. Irish people have a thing where we will tell everyone else how proud we are of our children, but we'll never tell them. Right? So I'm hearing my aunts and my uncles and different people tell me how proud of me my mom is. My mom will never tell me, you ain't did nothing. And I'm like, wow, my mom's not proud of me at all. And my uncles and yes, she is. She loves you. She's proud of you. She tells us all the time what you do. And then she doesn't tell me. But it doesn't help them to know how proud you are of me. Does it? Just like it doesn't help everybody else to know how proud you are of your children, it helps you. It helps them. It strengthens your relationship, because they know that yes, I may make a mistake, but I'm not a failure because my mom and dad tell me that. I'm not a failure. I might mess things up, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't acknowledge that. You should tell them when they've gone wrong and they've done things wrong. But how do you tell them? Do you destroy them and call them a failure and a loser and a dog and a sheep and a cow and whatever other barnyard references you can mention? Or do you say, Ya bunayya? And what's the first thing he taught his son? La tushriku billah. Don't associate partners with Allah. You can teach your kids a lot of things, brothers and sisters. A lot of things. Your kids can grow up to be the best doctors and the best engineers and the best bus drivers and the best whatever else it is in the city. We like doctors and engineers, right? It's interesting. We have so many doctors and engineers and we haven't built one hospital in the whole country, but that's a different topic for a different day. So we have all this stuff, and you can teach it, and it's great, by the way. It's good. Because the one who benefits the people is the most loved to Allah. Muhammad ﷺ said that. So it's good to be that, right? It's very nice to be beneficial to the people. And we're here to do that. Muslims are here to benefit the country that we live in. We're here to make the place better, inshallah. And the people need to understand that. So this is but the beginning and the pillar of all these things is La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. And Luqman knew that. He said, La tushriku billah. Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. That shirk is tremendous oppression. So don't give Allah any partners. But who are you oppressing when you make shirk? Is that the bell that meant I said something right? When we make shirk to Allah, may Allah forbid us to do that, we're not oppressing Allah. It's Allah's right that we worship Him, but our oppression is to ourselves. Because if you don't know who created you, it's very difficult for you to know why you're here. Which leads to a lot of strange ideas and strange concepts, and people start believing that we came from orangutans and various other issues like that. So He's telling us, Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. You could teach your children a lot of things over the years, and may Allah give you strong children and healthy children and wise children, and make us strong and healthy and wise parents as well. But at the beginning of it, La ilaha illallah is the most crucial thing you could ever teach your children. It doesn't matter if you pray 20 times a day if you don't know who you're praying to. It doesn't matter if you cover yourself in all black with one eye out, as long as you don't know why you're doing that. We fast in Ramadan not to lose weight, not to, get healthier. We fast in Ramadan because Allah ordered us to do so. We pray our salat because Allah ordered us to do so. Muhammad ﷺ said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." We don't do it because the atoms and electrons from the earth, go into your hands and your head. Did you ever hear this? Yes. This is what they say, right? When you're on your face, you're connecting your... Anyway, mashallah, it is what it is. But the reason why we pray is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do so. The reason why we fast is because Allah ordered us to do so. The reason why we cover brothers and sisters in our own way is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do so. And it's very, very crucial that we teach our children that from the very beginning. All the cultural stuff is fine if you have your cultural food, as long as it doesn't go against what Allah said. But at the end of the day, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is why we are here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and the jinn to worship Him. And Luqman and Hakeem mentioned that to his son. And it continues, and Allah talks about the rights of the parents. That Allah, the mother has her rights too. And she has her exaltations as well. That we've been given, the mother gave birth to us in discomfort. It was difficult. Allah is saying that. So we have to be dutiful to them and kind to them, whether they're Muslim or not. You have to be kind to them. And at the end of the day, we'll all be brought back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anyway. So sometimes your parents may not be good. That's true. Maybe they made some mistakes over the years. That's true. But at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for them as much as you possibly can. And Allah is ever aware of that. And Allah is the best of helpers for us. And to Him, we're all going to be brought back again. So you've tried your best with your parents, even though they might be bad, even though they may make mistakes, even though they might do things that you might not like. As an adult, you have to be responsible for them. And at the end of it, Allah will judge. Allah will judge. Just because you're a mom doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get Jannah. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Just because you're a dad doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get Jannah. And subhanAllah, when we are oppressive to our children, when we prevent marriages without right, when we prevent them from worshipping Allah and we keep them away from that, then we can't blame anyone but ourselves when they look at our deen in a bad light, because the only light that they've had is their parents. But then Allah goes on to say that when they jahadat, there's that word again, right? Jihad. When your parents make jihad against you. That's what it says, right? When they struggle to make you associate partners with Allah. So again, we've already proven again that jihad doesn't necessarily mean killing innocent people. It's a struggle. When they struggle, it doesn't mean killing innocent people at all, I should say. When they struggle against you and order you to worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without anything that you've given knowledge, we're not supposed to obey them in that. وَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. We're not. We're supposed to be good to them anyway. But when it comes to that, you're not supposed to obey them when they struggle against you. وَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا. But to be good to them in this life, ma'rufa, right? And we're supposed to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, at the end of the day, Allah is the one who we're going to be brought right back to. مَرْجِعُكُمْ. And then He's going to judge us accordingly. But Luqman isn't done there. He says, whatever, even if this mithqala habbatin, again, ya bunayya, he addresses his son like that. If there is a seed in a rock, imagine a seed, habba, little small seed, smaller than an apple seed, like a mustard seed, in a stone, hidden anywhere in the heavens or in the earth, Allah Ta'ala will bring it forward. يَهْدِ بِهِ اللَّهِ Inna Allah latifun khabir. Allah is subtle and aware of that seed. Now, excuse me. We can look at this in a surface way of seeds and things, but if Allah can do that with the seed, what about our good and our bad deeds? What about that? You know, fasting, and we're in the month of Ramadan right now. Fasting is one of those things that you can do and you can easily lie about it. Right? Is that right? Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. MashaAllah. I know one person is here. May Allah give you Jannah and elevate you to under the throne of Ar-Rahman and forgive your parents and your brothers and your sisters and your whole entire family. And see what happens when you answer the question? MashaAllah, man. Allah is Latif and Khabir. So what about our deeds now? Fasting is something you can easily lie about. You can easily lie. Are you fasting, bro? Yeah, I'm fasting. And as soon as everybody's gone, you drink some water. You're not fasting anymore. And sometimes you hear this from the kids, right? In school. They fast when their parents are watching them. And when they're not, they're at the water fountain, drinking water. Right? May Allah guide us all. Or they cover in the house. Have you put your hijab? You yell from far, right? You put your hijab? Yes, Baba. Yes, Baba. No, Baba. She walks out. Hijab is convertible. Convertible hijab. Comes right up. Vroom, just like that. When Baba's looking, full on, boy. Burqa, mashallah. Full. Did you pray? Yes, I prayed. Football game is on, so he ain't praying. But did you pray? Understand that when you do these things, brothers and sisters, as kids and as parents, that Allah is aware of everything. Yes, you will make mistakes. So Allah is latif, Allah is subtle and latfa, delicate in how He handles us. But He's also aware. You know, the kids have a thing, and it's a hip-hop thing that Tupac said many years ago when I was a kid. Only God can judge me. You ever heard this? This is what the kids say to you when they get upset with you, right? Bro, only God can judge me. We tend to forget, though, that He actually will. Yes, only Allah can judge you. That's very true. But don't forget that He actually will. And Luqman is telling his son that even if this seed, this small mustard seed, is in a rock, and you know that because what? What breaks the concrete more than anything else? Grass, doesn't it? If you ever go to someone's yard, you know, when they leave it for a while, you know, and they have this brickwork. You ever seen this in the backyard? Y'all live in Mississauga, of course you've seen it. MashaAllah, the houses out here are nice. So they have this like bricks and all this stuff, and you go home for like 3-4 months and come back. If you didn't hire someone to cut the yard, the bricks, the grass actually breaks the bricks, doesn't it? It cracks it. So even if that seed is in a rock, Allah can bring it out. Even if your bad deeds are hidden from your parents, Allah can bring them out. And even if your good deeds are hidden from the whole world, Allah can also bring them out. So what do you want Allah to bring out? He's telling his son, be very careful as to what you do, because Allah knows everything. And this seed that he's talking about it's literal because Allah said it and we take it that way, but it could also be metaphoric in that sense that this is your if Allah can do that to a seed that nobody cares about, what about you and your good deeds and your bad deeds? Allah can bring them out. And on Judgment Day, He will do just that. So it's very important to put something forward for ourselves for the sake of Allah. And He goes on to say, Ya bunayya, aqim as-salah. Salah is something that we tend to take very lightly. We tend to take it very, very lightly. And once you've established that there's nothing worthy of worship besides Allah, and this is Da'wah 101 too. When Mu'adh ibn Jabal was sent to Yemen, فَدْعُوهُمْ أَنْ يَقُولُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Muhammad said to call them until they say that there's nothing worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. And after that, salah is important. So you teach your children, aqim as-salah, wa'mur bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, and to do your best to enjoin the good. Now, one of the things that the people tend to do now, we tend to think that enjoining the good is yelling at people and being difficult with them. When Muhammad wasn't like that at all. He fought when he had to, no question about that. But he wasn't obnoxious with the people and self-righteous in how he dealt with them. He wasn't. So enjoining the good is kindness to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of your ability. You may not be able to go and approach the President or the Prime Minister of Canada, but you can at least correct yourself. You can at least try your best to talk to your parents kindly and to tell them kindly that this is, Mom, this is Islam and this is beautiful. Please take it. Please read it. Please, it's better for you. Or the society around you, your friends around you. Talk to them. Try your best to help them with kindness. But then it may not, and to forbid the evil as well, the evil of what you see around you to the best of your ability. You may not be able to do it all, but at least try and do something. But then, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. That's a tough one, isn't it? Be patient as to what befalls you, because the people are not always going to take it. They're not going to always take it. They might fight with you. They might give you problems. They might curse at you. They might deal with you in a very harsh way. And now we're seeing a lot of that. But still, be patient. Don't react emotionally, over-emotionally. Get aggravated and angry and cuss at people. They're going to say some terrible things about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they do. And how we defeat ourselves is when we cuss back at them. I told you what I did at one point. Remember last time I was here? A brother kept sending me these really rough messages and tough messages, and all I kept saying is thank you for sharing. No matter what he said, I said thank you for sharing. That's it. No smiles, nothing. Thank you for sharing. And you're this and that, and people are evil, terrorists, animals, savages, barbarians. Oh gosh, thank you for sharing. And your prophet, this. Thank you for sharing. And your God is like this and this. Thank you for sharing. Eventually it got fun to me. I was like, please say something else. Because that's it. And he got more angry, and eventually he just left me alone. Sadly to me, because I couldn't say thank you for sharing anymore. But this is the thing. وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. Be patient. Be patient. It doesn't help you to curse at them, and that's what they want oftentimes, because they want validation from you. They want to make you mad, because they have nothing to live for. Many of them have nothing to live for. They just get upset because immigrants are taking their jobs away, which is weird, because a lot of them don't have jobs in the first place. It would be one thing if someone came and actually took your job away, but if you're living in your mom's basement surfing the internet, you ain't got no job anyway. Don't get mad at the immigrants. Their tax bracket sends your kids to school. But they get upset. This is what happens. And anyways, and people here will tell you that Muslims are coming here to change things. And what did they do with the First Nations when they came here? It changed everything and killed anyone that didn't like the changes. Right? Exterminated them actually is a better word. I mean, that's a side topic, but I'm saying be patient. Because a lot of the people, they want you to get upset because they're upset. I remember I was working at a print store. And this customer came in, and she was really upset, yelling at the brother who I was helping out at the print store, yelling at him, swearing at him, this, you did this wrong. And he showed her the proof, because print stores, they take proofs, and you okay the proof, and then they go print it for you. So he's showing her, no, ma'am, I did this right, and this is what you said, this is what you signed on, and this is what I did, so this is what you wanted. And she's yelling at him for a good half an hour. And she's not just, like, she's apoplectic. You know, when people get so angry that they're incoherent? She was like that. And he didn't yell at her. He didn't yell at her, and he didn't yell at her, and he didn't yell at her. And then she walked out of the store, and I asked him, bro, how did you possibly do that, you know? He said, bro, honestly, I only have to deal with her for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. She has to live her entire life like that. She's gone. She's out of here. I don't have to deal with her anymore. I don't have to do business with her anymore. But she has to live with herself all day like that, and all night like that, and all year like that. And if she doesn't change it, she has to live like that for an entire life. Look at the bigger picture, brothers and sisters. They want you to respond to them in a violent way. So then they can post that. See what the Muslim said? They made you mad, and then you say something that maybe you shouldn't say, or you feel bad for afterwards, and you didn't even mean it. But they make it seem like you said that. Happens to us all the time as a speaker. Right? What did I say earlier? I made a mistake. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? I said jihad doesn't necessarily mean killing innocent people. That's wrong. It doesn't ever mean killing innocent people. You heard that, right? It's absolutely wrong what I said. It never involves killing innocent people. But when you speak, sometimes your words get away from you. And I apologize for that. But that's the whole point, is that you have to be patient. Don't do that. Don't respond to them in a bad way. So someone can use those words now and say, Abdul Malik Clary said, not necessarily. And make a video on why, I said what I said. But now I've corrected myself. So if they do that, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Now you guys know that I've corrected myself. But the Quran also tells his son, وَلَا تُصَعِرْ خَرْضَكَ لِلنَّاسِ. Don't turn your back on people. Don't be rude to people. And don't walk arrogant through the earth, raising your voice. You know what's interesting? People respect you more when you're humble. Now, I'm going to tell you 2 stories, inshallah. I met 2 different people. One of them was a general in an army of a Muslim country. I met him, I was in Washington, D.C. And he comes at me, do you know who I am? Like, y'all look alike. I can't see you, so I don't know who you are. Do you know who I am? Like, I'm supposed to know who you are? Really, bro? Like, honestly, like, what is this, G.I. Joe? I'm supposed to know everyone around here? I don't work for those people, you know? Do you know who I am? I'm a general in the army of blank. I'm not going to say the country because you know, people see how they are. So he said the country. I'm a general in this country's army. And something came into my head because I'm Irish and we're not overly bright. So I said, does that mean you're a private in the American army? Because he came at me like that. He didn't give me salams. He didn't say nothing to me. He just came, you know who I am? Because I'm a presenter. I was a presenter on Guidance TV at the time. And I enjoyed my time there. So he comes at me like that, if I'm supposed to know him. And it's very, like, just weird tone of voice is that coming at me. Then I met another person. I was in the country of Turkey. And I have recited Quran. And I use Braille, by the way. As the Sheikh has said earlier, I use Braille to recite the Quran, and I learned it, alhamdulillah, by touching it and by memorizing the letters and so on and so forth. So I was in the Blue Mosque. I was blessed, actually, to go there, and I represented North America. They had a bunch of different countries that were there. And I was the only person who represented the United States and Canada and Mexico by myself, which is like, that's better than the Olympics if you ask me. Wow, 3 countries, mashallah. So it's by the mercy of Allah, and it was an honor for me to go there and recite the Quran at the Blue Mosque. So alhamdulillah, he did that, and then the brothers pulled me aside afterwards and he said, bro, President Erdogan wants to meet you. Get out of here, man. Because I don't believe that. Like, I'm from here. Prime Minister doesn't want to talk to me here. Why would he want to talk to me there, you know? So they're telling me that. I said, no, bro, we're serious. I said, man, get out of here, man. I don't think he's serious about that. But anyways, they take us to this, like, library kind of museum kind of room, and we sit there long, and they bring you the tea with the sugar cubes. You know, the Turkish, they give you all that stuff. I know y'all are fasting, so I won't get into too much detail, but it took care of us, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm getting upset because Canadians and Americans, we like things to be done right now. 30 minutes or it's free, brother. Move. I don't care if you're the president. 30 minutes or it's free. So I'm sitting there waiting for this president, which I don't believe is coming, by the way. I still don't believe it, because what president would want to meet me? But then they bring in the secret guards, the service guards, and I start to think, oh, this may be a little bit more serious than I thought, because soldiers make me nervous. Right? So they come in, especially in Muslim countries, soldiers, sometimes it means you're not going home. So I start to remember, did I talk about Turkey over the years? Did I talk about them? Which I didn't, alhamdulillah. So they bring in the police, and they bring in these people, and they bring in President Erdogan. And I know his voice because when I was waiting, I did some, because I'm going to make sure they're not going to trick me because I can't see, right? So I went to YouTube and I'm like looking him up. I want to hear his voice. Because everybody looks the same to me, but they don't sound the same to me. So they bring him in and he comes up to me, and what does he say? What's the first thing he says to me? What do you think it is? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right away, I humble myself. This is a person who, whether you like his policies or not, this is a person who didn't have to meet me. And I'm not benefiting him. I have nothing to give him in terms of benefit. I can't pay him more than what he's getting already. I can't lend him money because I don't control Canada's finances like that. I don't have any connections in spite of what the news media might say. So I can't benefit him in any way. I can't hurt him either for the same reasons. I'm just a person who was invited to read the Quran. I'm not a general of a Muslim army. I'm not important like that to him. He could have just watched the TV show like everybody else and said, mashallah, and went about his business. But he actually took the time to come and meet this person who, really is, as far as he's concerned, or as far as leadership is concerned, insignificant. And the first thing he said to me was, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And right away, I had love for him because he's showing me that me and him, although he is where he is and I'm where I am, we're bounded by that. May the peace that can only come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you. And we're brothers in that regard. This is important. He didn't come at me with this arrogant, I'm a general of an army. And I was like, wow, does that make you a private in the American army? Because the first thing that came into my head was to defend myself. This guy's offending me. And I shouldn't have did that, by the way. It was rude and a bit obnoxious to say that to him. But that's my first reaction. He's getting at me as if I'm his insubordinate, his subordinate, person, that I should put my head like that because he's important. But this president of a nation is coming at me, and he's actually putting his head. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And I felt really, really humbled by that. So I responded to humility with humility, and that's what people tend to do. Nowadays, in the place that we live in, we think that being loud and being obnoxious and being strong verbally means you're strong physically, and it doesn't necessarily mean that. The voice of the donkey, and Luqman tells his son that the worst of all voices is the voice of the donkey. A donkey is pretty strong, isn't it? Pulls a lot of stuff, carries heavy loads, right? Boxes and huge. You can't carry what a donkey can carry. But when a donkey makes that noise, do you care what a donkey says? Do you care? No, right? That's a big loud voice. I can't do it. In fact, if I did it, you guys would laugh. Right? You laughed. Some of you are laughing. So that big voice makes people laugh. I didn't know it was a terrible donkey, but it sounded more like a bird. But anyway, if you do that, people will laugh because that donkey's voice means nothing. Now, the voice of a rattlesnake is very quiet. I've been to Africa. You hear the word snake. You don't even have to, he doesn't have to say nothing to you. It could be a harmless little garter snake. You want to see people run? Bro, there's a snake in the yard. You want to see people run, they're going to run. It may be a harmless little old garter snake, and they're going to run from it. The voice of a mouse. You ever see, was there ever a mouse in your house before? What'd your wife do when she saw it? She ran, right? My kids get scared of centipedes. Centipedes don't say nothing. So sometimes, most of the time, the loudest voice is the weakest voice. Donkey makes that big noise, nobody cares. They give him more stuff to carry. Nobody cares. Rattlesnake doesn't even make a noise. Just has to show his head. Y'all run for your life. All right? The dog has to bark incessantly to get attention, but the lion only has to roar once. So a loud voice doesn't necessarily mean a strong character. And this is what the hip-hop is teaching you now. A lot of, not only hip-hop, in general, because you got them white boys that sing heavy metal and they scream and yell a lot too, so I'm not going to single out hip-hop. But the culture in general tells you that for you to be loud and obnoxious is for you to get what you want. Not necessarily. If what you want is bad attention, sure, it can get you that. Because there's always going to be someone who's more loud and more strong than you are. And there's always going to be this wise guy kid that's going to ask you stupid questions like, are you the private in the U.S. Army because you're a general in the country's army you come from? Right? But then when you respond to people humbly, it doesn't necessarily mean you're weak either. People think that humble is humiliation, and it isn't. It is not. Being humble, oftentimes you end up being stronger like that. Because you control yourself. You control your response to things. You can't control what people say to you, but you can control how you respond to it. And Luqman is telling his son about that. He's telling his son, when you walk and you deal with people, lower your voice. You don't have to yell everywhere. The empty can makes the most noise. And that's the old statement that we used to say back home. You know the empty tin can? If you have a soda can and you drop it, like down a flight of stairs, it's not going to make much noise. It is, but the empty one, bang, bong, bing, bang, it's going to make a lot more noise. Right? So people usually yell and scream and get obnoxious. I had one brother who, I was with him and he was parking his car. And I avoid people like that, by the way. I really do. I don't like being around people like that. And he parked inappropriately. But he thought because I'm blind that he could do that. People use my eyesight more than I do. So he comes out of the car and one lady tells him, bro, you can't park there. And he starts yelling and screaming at her and giving her all this hell because of that. Don't you know I have a blind person in the car? And I'm like, bro, listen, me and you, we're not going to hang out ever again if you do that again. Because I can embarrass myself. I don't need you to do it for me, you know? So loud and obnoxious doesn't necessarily help you at all. And Luqman is telling his son, lower your voice. Because the most obnoxious, braying voice is the voice of a donkey. So these are just a few lessons, but I wanted to close with this though. And I really want this message, if maybe you're doing it already, I hope so. But if you're not, then we need to start looking at how to mentor these kids. How to mentor them. The young brothers who may not have dads in their lives for whatever reason. Maybe their dads have passed away, whatever happened. But we need to start having mentorship programs. So that these messages of Luqman, Hakeem, and other messengers of Allah or other prophets, and it's an ikhtilaf between the ulama if Luqman is a prophet or not. But anyway, he was righteous and wise, if anything else. But the people, these messages need to be taught to our children. And they need to be brought to life by us. Because now we're at the stage of our lives where we are teaching them. And we're also learning from them. Like I said, my daughter taught me that I'm her favorite celebrity. There must be a reason for that. And we ask Allah to bless you and your families. And I'm happy to be here once again. Jazakumullah khairan. And hopefully we'll be back inshallah very soon. يقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. I don't know if we're going to do Q&A or not. If we're going to do that. Do you have any questions? I'm scared to do questions after lectures like that. Because sisters get mad. What do you mean I'm not going to be a father? You ain't Maryam alayhi salam. You ain't give birth to him by yourself. You could be a really cool mom, but dad's dad, What time is it? 6:55. Oh, we're good. We're quite short today. I'm sick, man. I don't feel good at all. Trying to get through the day, inshallah. Today was actually the hardest fasting day for me because I was sick. I think it's because of all the travel. We were in New Jersey and Chicago last weekend, and we're going to be in California this one coming up, so it doesn't stop. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan. All right, so we're good with the Q&A. We're not doing it. Don't put your hand up. I can't see, bro. Honestly, I'm like, okay, they could all have their hands up. I gotta pick one. You in the white, the tall guy. Can't see. Don't raise your hand. Just shout them out, inshallah. Going once. Going twice. Oh, there's one. What's up, bro? Assalamu alaikum.
How many advice do you get to see your child and how can you, what can you do for the family to teach them?
If you don't get to see them? Yeah, I mean, different people have different circumstances. May Allah make it easy for you, bro, or for the person who you're talking about. You know, when you only get to see them occasionally, then it's very important to make those visits count. You know, try to make them count as much as possible. Try to have as much fun as you can. Of course, you want to do that. You don't just want to be an army person who makes the kid's life very difficult all the time. But try your best to, you know, incorporate those lessons and sit together and talk. You know, one of the things when you're on those visits, I see my children every second weekend usually when I'm here. So I can kind of relate to that to a certain degree. I know there's brothers that only see their kids once a year. And again, may Allah make it easy for you. That's very tough. At the same time, try your best to make those visits count, you know. Let them talk to you. Like, don't just lecture them. One of the best conversations I have with my daughters is about Jannah. And of course, Nusayba is the one who talks the most, and she has all these ideas of what she thinks Jannah is. And I think that's really cool that they have that, you know. So like I said, try to make those visits count. Try to make them count as much as possible, where you're impacting their lives. And if you don't get to see them, try to call them as often as you can, you know. Like now, you know, Skype calling is free. Facebook Messenger calling is free. There's so many different ways that you can call your kids and you can talk to them and see them face to face without always necessarily seeing them. Try to do that as much as you can. Like every night, every second night, try to just call them, even if it's for 2 minutes. You know, I'm thinking about you. If they're older, then, you know, get them an email that you have access to, that you could send them messages every now and again, right? Saying, I'm just thinking of you and I hope you have a wonderful day. Just simple things like that. You might think it's insignificant, but to them it could mean the whole. When I was a little kid, my dad called me, it was an event. My dad and my mom split up when I was about 3. So when my dad called me, it was like Superman called me. Wow, my dad? I would run to the phone and talk to my dad. But he didn't call me very often. Now we're okay now. We talk now. But I eventually was like, well, he doesn't care about me. Why should I care about him, you know? So call him, man. We didn't have Facebook audio messenger and all that other stuff. We just had a landline that was like $1 a minute to call. It was expensive. Remember back in the 80s, y'all? It was expensive back then to call somebody. It was no joke. So we had all these different FaceTime. I mean, you know, it's an investment when you talk to them. If you get them like this MacBook here, among others, I'm not putting over Apple, but they have a FaceTime option. I can call anyone for free with that, you know? So try your best to really be in their life as much as possible if you can't physically see them. And then those visits are going to be so important. You say, okay, it's another 30 days until we're together. It's 15 days, and they do the big countdown. With little kids love all that. And then you get to see them, inshallah, in the summertime or whenever it is that you do get to see them. And it's an event. It's not just, I don't want to go to him anymore. Eventually it was like that with me and my dad. Because I never talked to my dad, and he worked all the time when I went to see him. So I'm like, well, why should I go visit him? He's going to just leave me with his wife, so I don't want to be around her like that. She's a nice lady, but she wasn't my dad. You know? And eventually I just stayed home, and we didn't talk for many years. Now we talk again, but this is the whole point. When my dad used to call me, it was Superman. To me, it was Superman. Literally. It was literally like that to me in my mentality as a kid, because we forget that to our sons, we are our son's first hero and our daughter's first love. You forget that as a dad. You're going to show her what being a man is, so that when she marries someone like you or better than you. Instead of getting one of these fools out here that's just going to take advantage of her, you know? She knows, this is my dad. My dad is a man. And I'm going to marry someone like my dad, or I'm going to be like my dad when I marry someone. So it may be difficult. And to the sisters, I really want to tell you and I'm going to be posting this video, inshallah, on the internet as well, so more sisters can get it. Do not, and if you're not doing this, mashallah, do not get in the way of your children and their dad. Don't ever do that. He might have divorced you, but he didn't divorce them. And it's obnoxious and really a mistake on my part if I don't mention that. The sisters now are being tempted by the court system in these countries to hinder the progress of their dad's relationship with their children, and they shouldn't do it. You need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may have won in the court here, but the court of Allah is still to be open. And if you're not doing that, then you're an awesome mom, because you've differentiated between wife and parent. Maybe you're not together. Maybe your marriage didn't work out. Maybe that's true. Okay, fair enough. But he's still their parent. He's still their dad. And without him, you wouldn't have them. You wouldn't have them at all. You're not Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah didn't give them to you through a miracle. You had them with him. So whether you like him or not, if he's not abusing them, he has every right to see them. And you should be a part of that. You should, promote that. You should push forward for that. And don't get in the way of it with stupid things. He shows up 5 minutes late, so you cancel his visit. Right? He pays a little bit less this month, so you cancel his visit. Because then his children become a bill. They become a phone bill or a light bill, child bill. Right? Don't get in the way of that. And shame on the woman who does, without right. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but I'm a speaker. That's kind of what I do.
What's some successful techniques that you've seen to give dawah to someone older than you, especially a parent?
Yeah, I've done that, right? Because my mom took shahada from my wife. But I think kindness is very important, Show them how Islam has made you better. Like, what tends to happen, especially with new Muslims, we come into Islam and we're very zealous, right? We're very overzealous of things, aren't we? To a degree. This is the truth. Al-haqq min Rabbina. And that's what we do, because we're young and we're excited, right? And your parents look at that and go, "Oh, I'm scared of him. He's yelling now." Before he wasn't yelling in the house, So when you show them that Islam has made you gentle, that Islam has made you considerate, that Islam has made you courteous, then it's very important. And I know of a brother, and I won't mention his name, but he actually left his apartment to go and take care of his older parents. Right? And some of you know him, and I'm not going to mention his name. May Allah reward him tremendously for that. Tremendously. Because it's ibadah to take care of his parents. And his parents ain't Muslim. He is, but his parents aren't. So that's a huge dawah. Even if they don't accept Islam, the important thing is for you to convey a message to them. Hopefully they will accept it though, inshallah. But that's the whole point, is that you just show them how Islam has made you better. Because again, older people, they don't think they can learn from us, And we're the same way, right? If a 10-year-old comes to you and says, "Can I teach you something?" "Well, what you going to teach me, little girl? Little boy, what you going to teach me?" And you don't take it serious until they actually teach you something. Right? Like Nusayba taught me this lecture, among others. There's so many because she's very vocal as to how she speaks. Hafsa teaches me as well, in different ways. Hafsa teaches me with her kindness. My other daughter, Halima, she teaches me because she's very scientific. So she's into genetics and all the stuff that I don't understand. Because I'm a redneck from Trailer Park, so we don't understand things like that. Genetics, genes. I got genes at home. They're black, with a belt. Assalamu alaikum, y'all. We don't know nothing about that. So she's into that. She teaches me that way. Hafsa, like I said, she's very kind. So I can't really stay angry at Hafsa because she's a sweetheart. She makes me sad. When I'm angry, I stay angry for 2 minutes and then I feel bad because she's so kind to me, And Nusayba, she asks all the right questions. So try to find a way to get to your parents like that. Sometimes it's not going to be always easy, but show them your kindness. Show them that Islam has made you better. And my mom eventually said that to me. She said, "Islam has made you a better dad than I could ever imagine. Has made you a better son than I could ever imagine." And that's it. I'm good. All the different accolades and people calling me sheikh, which I don't deserve, all the different stuff doesn't really matter when your parents and your family are benefiting from your lectures. Then you want to do more, right? I could be in front of 10,000 people, and it's great. And I've done that in other places. But then when I'm in front of my own kids, that's when I'm on my favorite stage and the best audience I've ever had. Next to the one, then the last third of the night when I get to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That's the best audience of all. But after that is the audience of your family. So if you love them, show them and tell them and treat them well. So that they know that, whether they're Muslims or not, and they can see that my son didn't become crazy, my daughter didn't become a fanatic, my son isn't a terrorist. Islam has made him an amazing human being, has actually perfected his humanity. Because it was revealed from the one who is complete in his perfection, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unique in his oneness and incomparable to his creation. Right? So it's very important that we understand that when it comes to our parents, that they gave birth to us. And kindness to them is paramount. Whether they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being one, or they believe in a Trinity, or they believe in Rama and Krishna, or they don't believe in anything, still, be good to them. Because that's what we're supposed to do. Because Allah ordered us to do so. And show them that Islam has made you better. That's important. Another tangent, sorry. Did I answer the question? No. I hope so, because I said a lot, so I answered the question. Going once. Going twice. Wait for it. Wait for it. Alright, we're good. ذلك ما عندي وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Sheikh Malik 05544 shutter.